Hey, so lately I've seen a lot of celebration around Neptune moving into Aries. But when I looked up at the sky and checked out the astronomical position, Neptune is still in Pisces. So what's going on? Is this a mistake or are we talking about two different systems? I've been reflecting deeply on the tropical versus sidereal debate, and I want to show how I understand it now. After I did a little rant on my Patreon and on my Facebook. So the core confusion happens between because we're using two different coordinate systems. Both are made up systems by humans. The stars are not actually in any alignment or in the shapes or forms we name them as, and we name them as this obviously for better orientation. But the system of naming that we all agreed upon eons ago has changed, in one system at least. The tropical astrology measures the zodiac from the equinox, from the Earth Sun seasonal cycle. So that point, right there, is where Aries begins. And sidereal astrology measures the zodiac against the fixed stars, and both systems are symbolic, but they anchor to different reference points. I've heard people say that the original, right, the original texts in Vedic texts and Jyotish were also tropical. And I asked my teacher about that. And because I signed up, right? Right after I did the first video I did, right? You can go back and I was saying the teacher will appear, and the teacher did appear, and I signed up. So I'm in a course now, and it's amazing, and I love it. And it's a huge group, it's a huge class, but there's so much to learn that oftentimes I just feel completely, whoa, this is a university degree. And the thing about it, to just get into that a little bit, is that I realized that astrology and all these intuitive arts, they don't need defending over there in India. Um, Whereas I'm used to defending it here, it doesn't need defense over there. So there's a completely different take on it, and there's more seriousness in it, and it's really seen as a science. It's totally a science. So I feel, oh my gosh, there's so much that came up for me, but this is one of the best things I'm doing. In any case, in the tropical system, 0 degree Aries is always the spring equinox. It doesn't matter where the stars are, it's anchored to Earth's seasonal rhythm. So they're not even looking at the stars anymore, right? It's just focusing on Earth and what's happening here. Roughly, this point of Aries moves 1 degree every 72 years. In Jyotish, the zodiac is aligned to the stellar backdrop and deeply integrated with the nakshatras. Because of the precession of the equinoxes, the seasonal point slowly drifts relative to the stars. That's why today there's about a 23 to 24 degree difference between the systems. So, in very ancient times, the seasonal equinox and the stellar Aries were aligned. And that's what my teacher told me when I asked him about this. He said, yes, back in the day, it would seem true that the old Vedic astrologers that they would have calculated according to the tropical chart, right? Because they wrote about the seasons. But what we're forgetting is that back in the day, because of the precession of the equinoxes, it was a different star system, right? So they were aligned to the stars. Vedic astrology has always been aligned to the stars. And so they stay aligned to the stars now. And that's why it looks like things have shifted over time. And in like they would have adopted a different system, but they didn't adopt a different system. And they didn't create a different system. It's the exact same as back then, except the stars, due to the precession of the equinoxes that we're focused on, that has changed. So, in very ancient times, the seasonal equinox and the stellar Aries were aligned. So, seasonal descriptions in early texts do not necessarily mean that the sages used a tropical system. They were simply aligned at that time. For me personally, I resonate more with the sidereal framework. I find coherence in referencing the sky as it actually appears relative to the stars. It makes me feel as if we are actually following the writing in the stars, even though that framework is also man made, over a framework that doesn't follow its own reference points. But to each their own. Some see it as simply the name being stuck, the signs in the stars also being random, true, but to me, it feels humbling, vast, cosmically oriented, and that doesn't make tropical wrong. It simply reflects a different philosophical anchoring. And what matters most is internal coherence, right? So astrology works through a symbolic mapping of cycles, and the geometry remains precise, the reference point changes. So, if you're navigating a big transition right now and you want to explore your chart deeply within the Sidereal Jyotish framework, I'm opening a few practice readings this month. Okay, so you can reach out and I will practice with your chart. Okay, thank you. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Take care. Bye.